are here in solidarity with the worldwide supporters of Leonard Peltier all over the world, gathering today in international solidarity to demand that President Obama grant clemency, unconditional clemency. The directive is to occupy every consulate, embassy, and federal courthouse in the land.
Thank you all for gathering here today. On behalf of what I hear, Leonard Peltier. Just happened to him is a good man. He's an Indian man, and he was helping his Indian people during a time when Indians, won't look good upon this land. So myself too, have struggled this way in supporting what Leonard had done way back then, and still yet today he's incarcerated, unjustly by this government. Came with my friend here to support what's going on here, and then to have a prayer in that way, and to have our brother that way, all our relatives that way, unjustly in prison, and for this freedom. Offer this prayer in a song, and maybe join me so you can sing this song. It's Leonard Peltier's song, my people.
Leonard Peltier has been in prison for 36 years without, quote, a scintilla of evidence. And that's from the government agent's own words.
We are joined by many groups: Tacoma, Canada, Brussels, Belgium, Vancouver, BC, Canada, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, Birmingham, England, in Victoria Square, Lincoln, England, Berlin, Germany, Frankfurt, Germany, Hamburg, Germany, Dublin, Ireland, Los Angeles, California, San Francisco, California, San Jose, California, Boulder, Colorado, Decatur, Georgia, Macon, Georgia, Albuquerque, New Mexico, many other people that just are gathering in their hearts and minds. We're glad to be here in Eugene, standing proud in solidarity.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. What a beautiful day and what a beautiful crowd of people. So thank you so much to come down for this important event. I'm going to get people to buy this and send it to Obama. It's called Prison Writings. My Life is My Sundance. by Leonard Peltier, United States prisoner number 89637-132. And this is the prayer.
Grandfather, mysterious one, we search for you along this great red road you have set us on. Father Sky, Donka Sheila, we thank you for this world. We thank you for our own existence. We ask only for your blessing and for your instruction. Grandfather, Sacred One, put our feet on the holy path that leads to you. And give us the strength and the will to lead ourselves and our children past the darkness that we have entered. Teach us to heal ourselves, to heal each other, and to heal the world. Let us begin this very day, this very hour, the great healing to come. There's a committee in Lawrence, Kansas, the Leonard Peltier Committee. You can get online and research that, find out who those peoples are, and find that petition online too and sign that. You can also write to Leonard, write to your congressman, president, different legislators, things to encourage them to understand why he's falsely imprisoned and should be let go.
And teach people you know.
And spread the word, teach people you know. Information seems to be the biggest tool we have to spread knowledge, healing.
We are coming to you live from Eugene, Oregon, standing in solidarity with Leonard Peltier, asking President Obama to grant him immediate clemency. It is his responsibility as president.
The book is called Prison Writings. My life is my Sundance. On a windowsill beyond the bars, a pigeon stands on pink feet, chest fluffed out, preening in the morning sun. Some paint has peeled off the painted-over window, and pressing my forehead right up against the cold glass, I peek out at him sitting there, a universe away. The pigeon doesn't see me staring at him. His feathers have a subtle iridescence to them. The hand of my mind reaches out and touches him through the bars and the thick security glass. A spirit touch. He doesn't seem to notice. He pecks his small, sharp beak into those iridescent chest feathers and ignores me. I marvel at the miracle of him standing there, so near yet far, unfettered as the wind. The whole sky is his. And yet from all that infinite space, he's picked this bleak prison windowsill to pause upon this winter morning, blessing me with his sudden, unexpected presence, his astonishing reality. To me, the jailbird, this pigeon is as holy a messenger as an eagle. He tells me of the sky world beyond the steel and cement and razor wire. Once, when we came out of the prison sweat lodge, we looked up and saw two eagles circling high above us. They came to bless us, sent by Sky Father. So I'm known to the eagle and to the pigeon, holy messengers both. Sky Father hasn't forgotten me. He sends his winged children to comfort me, and I send skyward through the bars a winged prayer of thanks. No prison bars can stop a prayer. May your eyes they see. May your spirit soar freely.
sea. May your spirit soar freely. May your people be strong. And may the whole world sing your freedom song. Here we go. May your eyes sing. May your spirit soar freely. May your people freedom song. In a prison, your body's bound, and it's the hard road you have found. But as I sing into the sky, I hear a prayer and may your eyes see, may your spirit soar freely, may your people be strong, may the whole world sing your freedom song. You love the earth, you love the sky, you fight for justice as the days go by. No justice comes from the hand of man, but the wind it sings its prayer again. May your eyes see, may your spirit soar freely, may your people be strong. May the whole world sing your freedom song. Political prisoners, there are scores. There is you, and there are many more. Some call you criminal, another name. Call a sheep a wolf, it's a sheep just the same. May your eyes see, may your spirit soar freely, may your people be strong. May the whole world sing your freedom song.
If in these United States our Indian people cannot, through vision and courage and unity and compassion, prevail, what hope any place on earth is there for indigenous people? And if we fail, who would want to be a part of what's left? Because it would be a genocidal society that had succeeded in its genocide, in the extermination of not just a people's, but of a right and decency and justice. Leonard Peltier is the symbol of the struggle. Outside of this country, he is outside of movie stars and maybe a few athletes, one of the best-known Americans. And they see in him the struggle of our indigenous people for their dignity, for their sovereignty, and for their future. And they wonder, how is it that he's been held so long? I think I can explain beyond serious doubt that Leonard Peltier has committed no crime whatsoever. You have to remember, no witness really saw Leonard take aim at anyone. No witness said they heard him shoot at the time he could have killed an agent. There was no evidence that he did it, except fabricated circumstantial evidence, overwhelmingly misused, concealed, and perverted. Among the things withheld in the trial were the staggering violence on Pine Ridge that had existed certainly before Wounded Knee No. 2 in 1973. It had accelerated enormously. More than 40 Indian peoples on that reservation had died violent deaths, overwhelmingly from activity provoked by the federal government, and there is little doubt about it. An organization that proudly called itself the Goons, Guardians of the Oglala Nation, we now know were provided with weapons, training, and motivation to create violence. In the March of 1975, 7 people were killed by violence. And that's why the traditional people, the elders, asked AIM, the American Indian Movement, to send some people to help protect them. And I say thank God that there was some young Indians that said, I'll go. I'm not going to see our people be eliminated by violence. Fewer than 17 came, 6 men, and they came to protect tribal people, traditional Indians, from violence by our government. These things are all interrelated. We should never forget Martin Luther King's heartbreaking words in 1967 when he came out against the war in Vietnam, and he said, "The greatest purveyor of violence on earth is my own government." What an awful thing to have to say. But there's no question that our own government was generating violence constantly on the Pine Ridge Reservation as a means of control and domination. We now know from December of 1995 through released documents that the FBI had people in place at least 20 minutes before those 2 cars drove down into the Jumping Bull compound arrived. They were preparing for a major act. They had a judge who excluded background evidence. The greatest exclusion was all of this violence. Why were these men there? Why was Leonard Peltier there? He was there to protect people who were being killed, and if that's a crime, where are we? It's amazing to me still how they still talk about Myrtle Poorbear and blame her for not telling the truth. Because after it was all over, some agent came before the press and said, "There's not a scintilla of evidence." His word, scintilla, not a spark of evidence that Myrtle Poorbear was a witness to anything. She wasn't there. That's what he said. Now, do you think she just came forward and volunteered 3 affidavits? Not on your life. What did that poor woman go through? What type of abuse? Poor Bear was easy to manipulate. She was a coherent person. Her first affidavit said she didn't see anything. And then 2 more, and what did they do when they got them? Whammy, off to Canada as fast as they could go. What a shameful act. What a criminal act. Think of how they treated her. Where is there any respect for humanity among people who would treat a human being that way and take advantage that way for an end to get Leonard Peltier and bring him back here? The other concealments that they went through are unbelievable. The FBI laboratory is the subject of a whole series of reports that condemn it for fabricating evidence, for falsifying evidence, for incompetence in evaluation of evidence. The man who was on the case was prosecutor from the beginning and is still on it. He said, "We do not know who shot the 2 agents." That's a quote. We do not know who shot the 2 agents. Leonard Peltier is in prison and has been there 22 years, and that's 36 years now, as a side note. He's there convicted on 2 counts of murder and serving 2 life sentences, and the government has said, "We do not know who did it." And they went beyond that and said, "We did not prove who did it." And they went beyond that and said, "All we proved was that he participated." And let me say one thing about their statement that they don't know who killed the agents. It's not a mistake, and it's not a confession. It was a necessity. Because in that appellate argument, if they had maintained that they had proven who the assassin of those 2 agents were, there would have had to been a reversal because there was no evidence of it. So it was a legal necessity. And the fact is they didn't have to tell us that they didn't know who shot the agents. The whole record shows that they don't know who shot the agents. And they don't want anyone else to know because they want the world to believe that Leonard Peltier is guilty. And don't worry about nature or nature's people. Leonard's paintings are on 4 continents to my knowledge. It's part of his power. He's able to communicate through his art, his painting, the truth and life and the spirituality of the Indian people. And he's in prison. And every day is a new crime. Every dawn is a new crime. Every dusk is a new crime against the dignity of the Indian peoples. Because while Leonard Peltier is in prison, we all are. The President of the United States can commute that sentence in the name of justice any moment he wants to. He has the power, complete and absolute, under the Constitution. It's a political statement from the highest office of our government that this person should be free. And we have to demand that it happens, and we have to demand that it happens this year. It can happen this year if we organize and work, and it's imperative that we do it. We ought to remember back to Benito Juarez, a full-blooded Zapotec Indian who twice became the president of Mexico and whose words are inscribed just outside the General Assembly of the United Nations Chambers Auditorium inside the UN building. Juarez found the wisdom and understanding in a few words, the story of violence in our history. He said, A respect for the rights of others is peace. It's true. Until Leonard Peltier's rights are respected, there can be no peace in our hearts and our minds, or, if we have courage, in our bodies. For the good of Indigenous people everywhere, and all those who depend on them, which is everybody else, it is imperative that we, you and I, secure the freedom of Leonard Peltier. Thank you. And that was Ramsey Clark, former Attorney General of the United States. Just want to bring attention to the short list of supporters that we have here. I printed out 5 pages of people who have spoken out over the last almost 4 decades, getting to be. Everyone from Sheldon Caldecott, the Dalai Lama, Nelson Mandela, Desmond Tutu, Noam Chomsky, Ramsey Clark. The entire European Parliament voted on this. A whole bunch of celebrities you've heard of, a whole bunch of churches and other faith-based communities. The list goes on and on and on and on. Amnesty International. He's known as our Nelson Mandela to the rest of the world, pretty much. And it's been 36 years at this point. It's pretty sad. I have a couple more readings.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I was just listening to Alice, and I got involved in this issue 20 years ago, and I'm just so shocked that I'm here. And then it seemed like way too long, 16 years. Now we are 20 years later, and we're still trying to get freedom for Leonard. I mean, we talked about Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela, he was the #1 political prisoner in South Africa, and then he became president. I mean, what could be better? We couldn't do any worse, but have Leonard Peltier as our president. You know, the FBI targeted the AIM movement. The AIM movement gave pride back to the Native American people, and showed us there's a better way. This way that we're going with the European conquest way, the way of colonialism, the way of empire. This way is not working. The indigenous people, they have some knowledge that they have still kept and that we need to go back to and start thinking about. You know, after the Black Panthers, the FBI said, we've got to destroy the Black Panthers. And then AIM came on the scene, and they started to stand up and say, we're not going to let you roll over us anymore. We're going to stand up for our people on the reservation. We're going to stand up for the old ways. And the FBI decided they were going to target them. It started out in taking the island of Alcatraz out of San Francisco, and then it went from different actions going to the BIA station building in Washington, D.C. and taking over that. Then we had the incident, you know, Wounded Knee, and that had the most number of military, paramilitary, and FBI agents since the Civil War in the United States was on that ranch. You know, that there were 2 men that were also arrested with Leonard that day. There were 3 people total, and Leonard, you know, ran to Canada. He went to Canada, probably thinking he wasn't going to get a fair trial, but the 2 other men that were charged with him, they were released in self-defense. You know, and what was amazing is after that whole trial had gone down, 7% of that nation went into uranium mining. So we know what that was. That was just another lie, another broken treaty where they took the land of the native people. And you know, the great thing that I think people need to remember is people remember the freedom fighters. They remember, you know, all the people throughout history that have fought in the name of freedom. They don't remember the little thugs and the little policemen. And if you were an asshole, they remember you as an asshole. So let's stand up for Leonard, get him out of there as soon as possible. Thank you.
Please send something to Obama, whether it's email or whether it's to the White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., 20500. Remember that address, and let's just send him card after note, after letter, after copies of Leonard's books. This is the petition that if you go and you Google Peltier clemency, it comes up as the first hit. And it says, Mr. President, We, the undersigned, come together before you to request the immediate and unconditional release of Mr. Leonard Peltier from Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary. Note, he's actually since been moved to Florida, and his address is down here too, Coleman, Florida. So I encourage everybody to send him cards and letters as well. Mr. Peltier was convicted for the June 26, 1975 murders of 2 FBI agents on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. There were 4 defendants originally charged before the grand jury. 2 of the defendants were tried before the court and found not guilty by reason of self-defense. Charges were dropped on the 3rd defendant. Mr. Peltier was tried after a change of venue to North Dakota. In this trial, Mr. Peltier wasn't able to put up a self-defense argument. Any evidence that could have proven Mr. Peltier's innocence was not allowed in his trial, or if it was allowed, it was not allowed in front of the jury. Witness testimony wildly diverged between grand jury testimony and trial testimony. Further, several of the witnesses recanted their testimony after the trial, claiming perjured testimony because of threats from the FBI. Despite testimony, prosecuting attorneys have stated on several occasions that they don't know who shot the agents that day. The FBI coerced Myrtle Pourbear into signing 3 mutually exclusive affidavits in order to extradite Mr. Peltier from Canada. In Mr. Peltier's trial, Ms. Pourbear testified that she never knew Mr. Peltier, that she had never seen Mr. Peltier prior to the trial. She testified that she signed the affidavits as a result of intimidation by agents interviewing her. The jury never heard her testimony, despite the fact that she had originally been scheduled as a government witness. Her testimony was excluded on the basis of her incompetence. A few FBI officials and/or agents have launched campaigns to publicly proclaim the guilt of Mr. Peltier, thus propitiating the original cover-up through dissemination of misinformation in editorials, websites, and full-page newspaper ads in what is seen as an effort to discredit the common sense and credibility of many national leaders and their organizations. These leaders have studied the case in depth for over 23 years since the reign of terror on the Pine Ridge Reservation and areas supposedly under the protection of this country. Mr. President and elected officials of all people, we ask that you no longer ignore the voices of the tens of millions of signatures and letters of the last 23 years and the results of the most recent polls in favor of his immediate release. We ask all politicians and officials to support true justice. Honor the voices of your constituents. Call for immediate, unconditional executive clemency for Mr. Peltier. Sincerely, all of us.
This is from a recent publication from Leonard's official website, the Offense Defense Committee. And you get there by going to whoisleonardpeltier.info. And it's from Leonard, and it says, Leonard asked you to vigorously protect the earth and defend the rights of others, as well as pass on a tradition of activism to and mentor young people everywhere. The following initiatives reflect Leonard's primary concerns: caring for Mother Earth, Indigenous rights, protection of all civil human rights and tribal sovereignty, political dissent and related government misconduct accountability, Occupy, prisoner rights and conditions of confinement, as well as other criminal justice reforms, religious freedom and protection of sacred places, voter registration, get out the vote strategies, and youth activism.
Before we close, we'd like to open up the microphone to anybody who wants to come up here and just say what you feel. What's being stirred inside you right now? Anything you want to communicate, please.
This is a wonderful day to speak. This is the first time I ever spoke publicly, but I think on behalf of Leonard, I'm more entitled to. My name is Tony. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest. I'm a multicultural Native American / early Asian immigrant. Before Martin Luther King, the Native people opened their doors to the early Asian immigrants in the Northwest, like in the Warm Springs and Yakima, and gave the first Asian immigrants asylum and a place to live before Martin Luther King. My grandmother, one of them was a white German, Greek, and Irish. I'm German, Greek, Irish, Filipino, a little bit Oglala Sioux, and I was born on the Yakima Reservation. The reasons being it was illegal for mixed marriages. And what I have to say, the Native American people, I grew up on a reservation. I'm not a tribal. I'm a tribal entity. I don't get money. My father grew up in a shack you can see daylight through back outside. It wasn't even in a hospital. And Indian reservations are like, used to be real rural poorhouse. I mean, really bad conditions. I grew up into that. I've seen what it is, you know, in most Indian reservations, especially Pine Ridge and Dakotas up in those days. When I was and so they took in the Irish, they took all the undesirables that people didn't want and took them in. So the Native people have been very, very good for diversity for their early cultures here, and I have much respect for them, and we should never forget their culture and their plight and what they've done for the rest of America. And he was a hero to me when I was 18, 19. I remember following the AIM movement. I've been following it all these years, and it seems like you know, he was hustled away. They suppressed the evidence for years, and it seems like they just don't want to admit their mistake, or he's a figurehead, and I think they just want to crush the Native American people. But the goon squads that were out there, you know, it still goes on today. Now in those regions, it's with the drug war and controlling people, you know, and the native vote and suppressing them of their rights, and, you know, they're just doing it in a different way now. And maybe they think that, you know, I just think that they should just admit their mistake and let him go. And people should just, I'm amazed that people still remember it so long ago. And in this culture, people don't remember 10 years past. And in the Native American cultures and tribal cultures, they remember forever because it's passed on through oral tradition. And they want us to forget things. And I'm very happy to see that all these years later, there's some people that don't even know who he is. And if you're from the Northwest, you'll know who he is. If you grew up on tribal land, you'll know who he is. And it's good to see support like this for him, and maybe we'll get him out. And never forget the plight of the Native American people. And it's not just the Native American people. Like I said, like Black Elk was a sacred medicine man. It's like this, no matter what color you are, if you're thrown on the earth and you have to live, you're going to end up living like the Indian, like the Native American, no matter what color you are. So you're caretakers of the land, first of all. It subsides us. And so no matter what color you are, if you live in respect of the land and take care of it and live in relation to it like that, you are a Native person. You are living that culture. And we need to keep in contact with the culture. When I had drug and alcohol abuse problems, it was the Native American culture and the sweat lodges and the relation to the earth that kept me from being sick and healed me. And so it's very, very important in this, you know, in our age, in our society, where everything's all modernized, technical, to stay in relation to the land and support the Native American movement and the people. And God bless you all, and thank you for being here today in support of Leonard Peltier.
Thanks again to Tony. So that's his first time public speaking, man. You got some talent, my man. Thank you for sharing your heart and your life. Let's close and give thanks for this beautiful day and these beautiful people that are among each other here, doing things that make a difference for those things that really matter. Thank you so much for coming out on this beautiful day, everybody.